Welcome back to the Smite Pro League. Again, we're on the North American side of things. Finch and Taco here with you on the desk, and we just saw CLG and Trifecta slug it out, but CLG came out the better one.
CLG came out on top in a grueling 2-for-1
Yeah.
out of the best-of-3 set. It's still so satisfying, though, being able to watch these teams finally get a definitive winner.
Yeah, that's right. They're not going to be that 1-for-1 now. That's 1 point going the way of CLG and Trifecta, despite a strong showing. It did not look easy. I mean, they come out of that one with nothing. So CLG looked really good in that set, and we talked about it a little bit there towards the end, but all these North American teams are so close right now. In fact, let's look at those standings and see. I mean, look at this. I mean, eUnited down the bottom 0-1 right now, and CLG are 2-0 at the top.
CLG really separating themselves with the rest of the pack. Granted, some of these teams haven't had a chance to play
That's
quite
true.
yet. I mean, SpaceStation being one of those teams that hasn't had an official game yet or set yet in the SPL. But more importantly, we've seen some really strong performances out of the teams that have played so far. And
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot to still be expected from some of these teams to come.
Yeah, I mean, we saw LG upset the world champions eUnited earlier on this week, so it just shows how much parity there is between these teams right now, Taco. They are all so close, but there they are, world champions indeed. eUnited are going to be in this set here going up against SpaceStation Gaming, and can they bounce back, not just from that set with LG, but, I mean, that Vegas show match, I mean, it may not have been officially part of the SPL, but they dropped to this team once there, too.
In the Vegas show match, though, I think that that's a little bit of a separate circumstance. I'm focusing mostly on their showing against Luminosity and not taking any credit away from Luminosity's performance then either, but they did a great job. eUnited definitely not looking at their top shape in comparison to what we last saw from them at Worlds.
No, they're not looking in best shape. PBM, though, is going to be the leader there for that team. He's also the one that you're going to be able to follow along with our POV cams. Sure, I'm going to be able to put that in the chat for you, or even check down right below the video. We got a link to both of those so you can follow around the support for this team as he moves through the jungle. And he is really, it feels like the driving force of the team. I mean, he's everywhere. He's always getting it done, and you know he's doing the right thing.
And for any of you aspiring support players back at home that have always been curious about what rotations to make, what items to build, and just where to be at in general on the map, this is probably the best thing you could possibly tune in for, is checking out that PBM point of view.
And you mentioned their set where they went up against LG. Game 1, that one was very close, but LG were able to come back with them. But Game 2, that did not look like the same cohesive unit that we've come to expect from this roster, Taco. I mean, they did not look like the team that won Worlds.
It just felt as though they had some issues with their drafting. It seemed as though they were trying individual god picks as opposed to team compositions, and I think that that can make a lot of differences when it comes to gameplay. But I think that they're going to break down all the issues that they had in that Luminosity set and see if they could reform and revamp for their upcoming set against SpaceStation. And this is going to be a tough one, too. A bit of a doozy, because SpaceStation, this is Andy's return to the BaRRa Jeff trio.
Yeah, we are talking about that SpaceStation roster. That's the core there with Andy, Jeff, and BaRRa that won Worlds 1. And they've got Baskin in that mid lane, too, considered by a lot of people one of the best players in the world. So eUnited trying to regroup after that loss to LG, this is a tall task.
And it's going to be a really difficult one as well. But again, we're talking about teams and their performances at Worlds. And if you reflect back to that time period, SpaceStation really didn't have the hottest showing at Worlds. You could tell that they were a little bit disappointed in themselves after their sets had been played. And I think that that was also a huge motivational factor for them coming into Season 5. BaRRa in particular, he is hungry as ever, trying to find these wins and really just trying to throw himself back into that top tier, or I guess top of the crop kind of position. Yeah,
BaRRaCCuDDa is going to be the one you're follow along with for the POV for this likes of SpaceStation Gaming. And I get what you mean about returning to the top of the pack. I don't think it has anything to do with maybe BaRRaCCuDDa's play in particular, but getting his squad back to being that top tier team. I certainly understand what you mean by that. And this roster, I mean, this is the roster to get that done with Baskin in the mid lane, BaRRa and Jeff in that duo lane, andinster in the jungle, Aquarius in the solo lane. I mean, I don't think there's a weak link anywhere on that team.
And that's the big thing that everybody has their eyes on for this new SpaceStation Gaming squad. It's that you've got all of these incredibly talented mechanical players. Probably the only one people are really raising their eyebrows at is going to be Aquarius, but even still, prior to that showing at Worlds, he was looking very well adapted to the Space Station environment. It seemed as though he was meshing incredibly well with their jungler at the time, and even with Mask having rotated off the squad, and now with the introduction of andinster, I think that it's only going to serve as a self-improvement for the team as a whole, and maybe even to the team mentality. Not that Mask was a horrible player to work with by any means. It's just that Andy already has that former team synergy with Jeff and BaRRa, and now we might get a chance to see him bring it back.
I am so excited to see them try and bring this one back. Let's go ahead and bring those picks and bans up on the screen so we can see what they want to take into this big North American powerhouse matchup between eUnited and SpaceStation. And you said it, Taco. We're trying to test if Andy can get back into this team. I mean, I cannot think of a bigger test than going against PBM and the rest of the world champions here.
And it's not even just a test for SpaceStation. It's also just a showing of redemption for eUnited. I think a lot of people were initially disappointed by their performance against Luminosity. And even though Luminosity did a great showing, the same just can't be said. It didn't feel as though eUnited were giving their 100%. It seemed as though something was preventing them from being all the way there, whether it was a lapse of competitive play for a few months that has everybody feeling a little bit rusty, or just some miscommunication issues. Either way, they're bound to be a team that smooths those problems out, and that's just something that I think is largely credited to PolarBearMike.
We're going to see that first pick come out for eUnited. It is Ullr. I believe we've seen Venenu play that Ullr in the mid lane. If not him, we've certainly seen Ullr mid, so a bit of a flight picks for them. Right when I say that, though, Discordia comes out. So that kind of reveals a little bit of that mystery for you. Discordia going to be mid, and then PandaCat will very likely be piloting that Ullr.
Love seeing PandaCat on an aggressive hunter like Ullr as well, although he might not have the safety net of a CC Immune ultimate. Still, a Cerberus Ullr duo lane could be very potent in terms of just initial damage during the laning phase. I'm expecting this also to be a Cerberus support, simply because eUnited did show some favoring towards it in their previous set.
That does mean that they're leaving that Thoth, Camazot's Athena selection for SpaceStation to take. And we've seen Thoth be so powerful with that range damage, the final judgment, and Camazot's with that big burst damage out of the jungle, and all that mobility and safety of Bat Out of Hell is really tough to deal with.
And you were just mentioning the safety of the Bat Out of Hell, but you also have to consider the other side of it. As soon as that Camazot's lands, it's pretty much free game. And I like that eUnited has this Discordia-Cerberus combination, because Cerberus, I'm anticipating andinster to pick up a Blink as his first relic on this Camazot. It's just so useful for getting off those early ganks. But the Cerberus Discordia crowd control combination between the Cerberus Ultimate and the Discordia Strife, even the Discordia Ultimate having that cripple effect as well, makes Andy probably a pretty easy target on this Kama.
Amaterasu and Serket were the last two selections there for eUnited. Amaterasu could go into the solo. We've seen some Amaterasu supports. I mean, I guess there's still some flexibility between the Cerberus and the Amaterasu. That Serket, though, very likely to be going to the jungle. But Taco, now that you had a chance to see these two drafts rounded out, I got to ask you here, who do you think's got it, World Champs or SpaceStation?
I really like SpaceStation's draft just because of the Thoth. I think it gives him the slight edge.
Well, Thoth, we got that here on the desk, giving him a slight edge. Let's go ahead and get it over to the casters to see how it goes.
Thanks a lot, friends. From the desk to the booth, Tom and Ryan, one more time. SpaceStation and eUnited, one more time. Now, if you tuned into the show match that we saw yesterday, unfortunately, eUnited wasn't at their strength. They played with Coach Cardiac in that support role, so they didn't have their... So don't take that as a pure look at this team. Screammm's going to be back in the lineup tonight, and we're going to see them at full strength.
Exactly. That's such a big deal. And I mean, PolarBearMike ended up playing jungle. It was kind of a fun thing for them. PBM, you know, don't make that face about PBM store jungle. My man's soloed Baskin. Looks pretty good doing it, by the way. Pretty good performance, all things told, out of PVM store jungle. Let's put some respect on my man's name is all I'm trying to say. Either way, completely agree with you. This is a totally different thing. SpaceStation versus eUnited this time around, I think, is going to be a lot closer, though. Man, with that draft SpaceStation has, good luck to eUnited. Giving Baskin, who I think is running away with best player in NA, and that's before we've even seen him in Season 5. I'm saying he's already running away with it. Probably the strongest mid laner in the game right now in Thoth. Man, that is scary, scary stuff already.
Yeah, absolutely. And andinster. I mean, andinster on the Camazotz that has shown to be a really, really high power pick coming into Season 5. We were looking at a lot of the selections. Serket Scream's on Circuit right now. Mercury, we talked about earlier in the day. And the Nemesis, obviously, you can't ignore. Kamazats was not really on that radar for a lot of people until we saw the pros play.
I mean, he's been dominant so far in Season 5. There's no doubt about that. It just pros always seem to make Kamazats look a lot better than you're used to seeing him look because, you know, his kit mostly all skill shots. At least his damage is really all skill shots. So pros are going to hit those. Your usual Kamazats jungle probably won't end up hitting those, and it's certainly been a pretty big impact so far. Take a look at what Scream's actually started with that rounded shield there. No, I'm sorry, the magical protection one. Taking a look at the results, SSG getting the better end of the vote, 62-38. But Scream going to start off with this little bit of physical power, a little bit of magical protection to try and get towards that and Chile as fast as possible. Really going to look to shut down the magical damage coming out of Baskin. That tells me that he's going to be in the mid lane consistently. Yeah. He went for the beads instead of the blink. A little bit surprised. A lot of junglers have been grabbing blink at level 1. See andinster right now on the Kamazats. Now, he's a little bit safer because of the disjoint from the leap. He's got the CC immune ultimate as well that takes him out of combat. So he's got a couple more tools to stay safe than even the Circuit does, who's hyper mobile. But with her recent nerfs to the Deathbane, getting a longer cooldown, Scream decides that he needs a little bit more protection when trying to jump on that mid lane Thoth.
Yeah, one of the big things coming out is itemization, and that's what's making a lot of these picks sort of front and center. Andy on this bat, he scales so high. The bat, not Andy. His ability scales so high. I mean, over 100% on some of them. That transcendence that you see him starting, really a big deal. Now comes with 10% cooldown reduction on first purchase. So a lot of junglers who did not go transcendence, despite the fact that ideally they kind of wanted it last season for the power. Now you can go it because it has that CDR, and you don't feel as hamstrung by picking that up versus a different CDR item.
Well, we're already seeing the power of the Kamazats even before he picks up that Transcendence. Certainly a reason why he's so powerful, but even now, his fast clear speed in the early game because of that auto attack chain that ends in the cleave clap by the Kamazats. Andy was able to invade those right side XP camps and lets his own team grab his side XP camp. So it's not only is he spreading the love and letting another member of his team grab up some of their own golden XP and getting them ahead, but he's also putting Scream behind by invading on that right-hand side. And once you start to lose those XP camps, it becomes pretty easy to end up losing them consistently because junglers can burst them down so quickly, it doesn't take long for them to fall.
Love that play from PandaCat. Very aggressive. But that's defense by way of offense. We see a great taunt coming out from JeffHindla focused onto PolarBearMike. So PandaCat jumps forward. I talk a lot about threat of activation. The threat of the stun that could come out from PandaCat and the ensuing burst damage was enough that Jeff nailed the taunt. But Jeff and BaRRaCCuDDa had to back off because Panda got so aggressive in that jump. Really nice stuff.
And it cost JeffHindla his sprint as well. Quick reaction to make sure that Axe was going to be harder to hit in that situation. That's a play that I feel like only PandaCat makes. And that's why he's now a world champion, why he's really being thought of as one of the better hunters in North America. Finally, well-deserved to finally get some recognition in that regard. He just thinks differently than a lot of other players, not just hunters, but players do in general. As you mentioned, protects by way of just going aggressive. Most hunters are saying, yo, my support's in some trouble now. Better just back up, because if they die, then I might die. Not PandaCat. No. He's saying, you're not dying, they're dying, and jumping in right away.
He reminds me a lot of, if you guys have watched Smite for a long time, there was a European player called Moex that Adonis used to love, and he had the same mentality, but wasn't good enough to pull it off. He wound up floundering out in the early seasons of the Smite Pro League, because if you're going to be that aggressive, you have to have the skill to sort of make up for the lack of defense. And PandaCat, Blink Artemis was his original claim to fame. That puts everything in perspective.
Yeah, that should really lay it all out and let you know what's going on. It's Ultimate's traded on the right-hand side. Not a big deal either way. Benji now has a little bit of a harder time getting away from Kamazats potentially, but Andy was just going to use the bat out of hell in response to the Stygian Torment anyways, so that ultimate not going to really help you out in any regard. Benji just forcing Aquarius' ult, making sure that he can't be quite as aggressive, at least in that transformation form. But remember, whenever you use that ult without using your ult in human form, you're going to be able to you still have that knockup available upon your deep transformation. Take it out. Aquarius by the diamond on the right-hand side of your UI has that ultimate available already, so he doesn't really lose a whole lot to make sure that Benji now just slightly more vulnerable.
PandaCat level 5, his support level 4. Love this dual lane. We're talking a lot about the aggression and sort of the brawn of PandaCat, but I think what makes this lane so successful is the fact that PandaCat is just as smart as he is aggressive and will make calculated plays, and his aggression gets him into trouble sometimes. First blood. Andy says what up to Benji, making the rotation through the jungle, and that's going to confirm the blue buff invade for SpaceStation Gaming. Well done.
And that's exactly what I was just talking about. Benji a little bit more susceptible. Aquarius still having the ultimate available means that here they're the ones who are able to play aggressive on that right-hand side. Did cost the right side of SpaceStation their relics, Sprint and Blink for Kukulkan and Camazotz respectively, but in exchange for a First Blood, you're taking that every time. And keep in mind that in the solo lane, First Bloods and getting assists on First Bloods are a little bit more impactful than in the other lanes because of the way that Warrior's Blessing works. You get more stacks on your Warrior's Blessing, as you do with everything else, but because Warrior's Blessing evolves at 15 stacks instead of the 75 that you're seeing from a lot of the other ones, that means you're getting even closer to your goal. Now Benji only 1 stack away from having that boost, or excuse me, Aquarius on 1 stack away of having that boost of protections by just hitting his opposition, whereas Benji's still waiting on 4 more.
I don't know if that damage is enough to kill Baskin. If he gets hit by that one, it will be. Venenu with the follow-up shot after Screammmmm in the middle lane picks up the answer back for eUnited, putting one in the ground. Referencing the show match that we saw yesterday. Now, I think it's, you got to pick and choose what you take from yesterday's match, but the solo lane matchup, I think, is absolutely translatable to real SPL play. And Brandon mentioned it actually perfectly. Aquarius did a great job against Benji at some points, outright controlling the lane and controlling the situation. And Aquarius might not have been able to do that 6 months ago. New player here in Season 5 and picking up that assist and making that kill. I mean, that just, Benji is so good, and Aquarius able to step up.
Let me describe a situation to you here, Tom.
Sure.
BaRRa, Jeff, Baskin, and Andy playing together. And, well, let's go with just BaRRa, Jeff, and Andy playing together. They pick up a solo laner who isn't really proven. They've had some proven solo laners in the past. Everyone's talking about them as a good team, and they pick up this solo laner that people know is good, but how good is he really?
Which one are you talking about?
Yeah, am I talking about Baskin from Season 2 or Aquarius here in Season 5? These dudes know how to cultivate themselves a solo laner. Look, Baskin is a once-in-a-generation talent for Smite, and I truly mean that. This dude is that good, and there's a reason he's translated from being the best solo laner to one of the best, if not the best mid laners right now, or the best outright player. But this Aquarius dude can play. There's no way you get on a roster with Andy, Baskin, Jeff, BaRRa if you don't have the chops to hold up and do your part. Is Aquarius going to be the star of this roster? Almost never. And that's by design. You don't need 5 stars on a team. You just don't. Sometimes it's better to not have 5 stars. Let Aquarius be your solo laner. Just stand in front, be tanky, let BaRRa and Baskin cast their spells, and be safe while doing it. That's all SpaceStation needs. And Aquarius does that really, really well. Like one of the best solos in NA level well.
And that's what this specific team enjoys, having the guy. The lane match, sure, just when it's the mid game, knock a bunch of people up and we'll handle the dirty work. PolarBearMike on the end of some dirty work. Here comes the help from BaRRaCCuDDa. The ultimate onto the Batman. PandaCat in some trouble. Misses the axe, but he got friends. Jumping out of the right-hand side. Hunter will be okay. Discordia rotation. Puts him in the ground again. 2-0-0 for Venenu.
Really, really smart plays there from SpaceStation, but they still end up getting punished because of the great rotation from the mid lane. The Talaria boots pick up for Screammmmm coming up big. That little bit of extra movement speed. Loses some power. Who cares? Serket's got so much of it in her kit, including true damage on the ultimate, so you're not losing anything there by going for less power on your boots. It lets him get to that fight just in time to pick up andinster as soon as he lands down with the Camazotz. But man, talk about a great combo. You channel the Athena ultimate onto the Camazotz while he's in the air. He comes crashing down, closes the gap, almost kills PandaCat upon the landing. Really, really good execution there, but just better rotation by eUnited. Baskin was still sitting in mid trying to farm up that Warlock staff.
PolarBearMike able to pick up the purple buff over there on the left-hand side in his enemy's jungle. Nice stuff coming out from PBM. A little bit of a gank attempt there coming out from our dual lane, but they decided against it. and just walk right on back. So 10 minutes approaching, double kills for each team. And about 1,000 gold for SSG, but nothing of note.
No, not quite yet. I mean, a slight lead in the solo lane for Aquarius. We just watched the aftermath of him stealing away Benji's blue buff. So he's got about a level and a half lead there, but Venenu has a slight lead in the mid lane, dual lane pretty even, jungle pretty even as well.
Oh, look at this. Trying to hide around the corner from Andy is the Circuit. Not going to find much off of that, but look at what Aquarius is getting away with. Just being able to go all the way in the enemy jungle, take away those experience camps, and just walk back to lane. Nice stuff coming out from his team to sort of cover his invade.
Yeah, that's exactly the right word for it. Cover. Yo, cover me. I'm going in for the XP camps only. Just trying to get that farm. I'm telling you, man, those marginal camps end up making such a big difference at this level of play. If that means that Aquarius gets to buy an extra sentry ward and make sure that his team has vision around the next fight, that could be the difference between winning and losing it, or grabbing an objective because of your increased vision. And that's, if we're just talking about a ward, think about the difference between finishing off a tier 3 item compared to a tier 2. It's absolutely massive. And again, just like I talked about before, not only is he getting that little boost of farm, Screammm's losing it by getting his camp stolen away.
Taunt in the middle lane, and this guy looks like he's going nowhere. Dive from the bat. One more shot's going to do it, but PolarBearMike will not be on the bad end of that one. Instead, it's andinster as Venenu turns things around and again finds another kill on the Discordia. 3-0 zip.
Andy just misses the auto attack that he needed underneath that tower. PBM's meditation came up huge. I thought it was probably going to be a waste because of the burst damage off of JeffHindla's taunt. And if there's a reason why we don't, we see Athena do so well in certain comps, this is the type of comp it does very well in. Guaranteed burst damage off the taunt and chain CC potential as well. As Thoth, you can throw one hieroglyphic assault, dash backwards, continue the stun chain, let andinster start to beat up on him. In that case, there wasn't a lot of follow-up CC because it didn't look like it was really necessary. Baskin looked like he had done enough damage with the final judgment once PBM had ulted away to secure the kill for andinster, but just missing that auto attack upon landing. And even if Andy finds that last auto attack, he's getting traded out for in that situation no matter what. Not sure that's really worth it in that situation. Andy's already starting to fall a little bit behind in the XP department. Screammmmm assisting on every single kill for eUnited so far, and 2 deaths early on in this situation for andinster.
Where's Thoth going with this enchanted trinket?
Soul Gem. Going to be a Soul Gem for sure, 3rd item. You can't imagine that's going to be a Pythags piece this early. Though Pythags piece getting a little bit better once it added some health on there. Soul Gem just so important in the early game, in the mid game. I'm more of a proponent of buying it late game because only getting 65 magical power in your 3rd item slot doesn't feel super great as Baskin dash forward because PBM gets taunted right around the back. Andy body blocks the dash and Baskin puts him down. That's kill number 3 for SpaceStation Gaming.
That's not going to feel super great, no matter what you're building. And BaRRaCCuDDa coming out here. Now, I referenced this during the SGS game. And during the SGS, we visited Latin America this morning. And we saw a player with the same build that BaRRaCCuDDa has right now as Andy comes in for some poke damage onto the enemy hunter. And this is what he did yesterday in the show match. Gold Fury started up by SpaceStation Gaming. We'll continue the conversation about builds in just a moment. I think this is certainly more important, and the objective will go to SSG. Pretty much no contest.
Yeah, good zoning there by andinster. Jeff pretty low, and PandaCat, knowing him, wants to go in and find that kill. Axe was looking for Baskin, but was trying to predict the juke, and Baskin continued to walk in his same direction. Yeah, so going back to this build, BaRRa starts off with that Morningstar, looking like he's going to build into Transcendence, which a lot of hunters are building into right now, but then switches it up and goes for the Devo gloves. Now, probably isn't going to even finish this Transcendence based on what we've seen from him in the past. During that show match, I don't believe he finished off this Transcendence, but it's just about getting that initial power at level 1 before your first back. One of the biggest weaknesses with rushing Devourer's gauntlets is that at rank 1, that spiked gauntlet, all it has is 7% physical lifesteal. That is not a very good starting option for you in the duo lane. Now that's actually changing in the next patch. It's getting 5 power added on in update 5.5, but until then, BaRRa's kind of just using this Morningstar as that early bridge item, kind of a la Shadow Nightmare when he used to start tiny trinket every game in the mid lane, would never build into it. In fact, would sell it very, very early on to finish off his second item. But that level 1 push is so important. I mean, if PandaCat is starting Morningstar and BaRRaCCuDDa starts Spiked Gauntlet, that 10 power difference actually ends up being very impactful in clear speed, who's going to be able to invade because of it, who's out trading who. All those things are very important. So even though it doesn't end up being a very fast start overall, BaRRa looks like he actually is going to finish that Transcendence, so he's going to finish that right around the same time that he's fully stacked the Devourer's Gauntlets.
Oh, they're both going to finish the Transcendence.
You want to talk about a power spike. Finishing off Devo Gloves and buying Transcendence at the same time, you almost like double your physical power at that point.
See, it was interesting because in the other games that we saw, both BaRRa's yesterday and the Latin American game today, it looked like, okay, I want to build Transcendence was the thought process from the Hunter, and then after trading some blows in lane, decided that they needed the sustain. And even yesterday, BaRRaCCuDDa, the same player we're literally seeing here, did not finish the Transcendence. Now going into the double stack build, which is what PandaCat did yesterday, actually. Pyromancer going the way of SpaceStation Gaming. So really, I mean, this double stack build seems to be the way to go for these NA Hunters.
Scream gets ulted there, but good turnaround. Scream forced to use his own purification beats. Ven with a beautiful strife and unruly magic combo. Venenu doing so much work right now for eUnited. Scream gets the second kill, just a little bit too greedy there. SpaceStation knew they were in trouble as soon as they burned that Pyromancer. Jeff pops a sprint, hits the eject button, says, let's get out of here. But there are XP camps there, man. Let's grab the minions. Well, now you get double killed. Now you're going to lose your tier 1 tower as well.
Rough stuff. The guys on SpaceStation Gaming had the lead, the technical lead, just by about less than 1,000 gold. But eUnited chopping at their feet, coming right on up. And what an impressive game so far coming out from Venenu. Your World's MVP, your World's Finals MVP right here. And, you know, for a long time, I felt that the majority of fans were higher on Venenu than I was, and the beginning of this and seeing him play yesterday, I think I'm coming around.
This dude's a beast.
I think I'm coming around to
This
that.
dude is a beast. I mean, you could tell as soon as he switched over to mid from that Hunter position, he made that incredible run with Oxygen Supremacy during the Spring Gauntlet, where he's playing all the weird stuff. He's the only one playing Chiron mid, you know, whatever he's pulling out. And you can just tell from his positioning, the way that he plays the team fights, the ability to play aggressive at times where not a lot of other mid mages were playing aggressive in those spots. The thing that impresses me most with his mid play now, though, is the flexibility in the God pool. I mean, eUnited asks him to play a lot, put on a lot of different hats, whether it's playing the Zeus at Worlds, where he's, you know, there to do all the damage, to control the enemy with the Morrigan in the early game, and kind of act as a pseudo-initiator at times and a counter-engager at others. He's just a really flexible player, and he looks just as good on each new god he picks up. This Discordia Worlds was phenomenal, and it looks like he hasn't missed a beat with it here in Season 5.
Yeah, that's the key for me as well as the God pool. Just so impressive. A number of the pros that we've seen, I mean, it's tough to play multiple gods at a high level. In fact, transferring genres real quick, and of course the characters are a lot more complex, but I mean, fighting game players focus on a single character. Now, MOBA
For
characters,
years,
yeah, exactly. A MOBA character is obviously a little bit less intense, but still, many intricacies in a lot of these kits when you break them down to auto-attack canceling and combination of abilities, and really, really fun to see players be able to play it at a top level the way Ven does. So widespread.
I mean, positioning with different mages at a competitive level, yeah. You're not going to position the same way with Zhong Kui in your casual game as you will with Anubis even, but you at a competitive level, those differences are so minute to make sure that you're becoming optimal in those situations that it's impressive to have as wide of a god pool as Ven does.
Yeah, really, really fun stuff. Ultimately, on a Baskin, he thought that the enemy was on the objective, but
no, he's Thoth.
We're there already. We've got what could be a 3-game set, and we're there already.
We're there already. Hey man, real hi-rez hour is approaching rapidly. Breakneck speed.
Ain't that the truth? Not quite the same for this game. Not exactly the quickest game of Smite we've seen. Season 5 has been, I feel like, right in the middle of the speedometer. We've seen really slow metas, and we've seen really quick metas where You get 2 mid camps and the game's over.
Yes.
Now I think we're kind of in the middle. There's a lot of room for teams to come back, but most of our games have been a little bit more active than this. 8 kills in 20 minutes. eUnited own 5 of them. Tie game otherwise.
Well, look at the composition that eUnited has drafted. They want to slow this game down, and right now is really where I imagine that SpaceStation wants to crank it up because Baskin has just finished his penetration. He's done with the Warlock staff stacks. He's almost level 20. Thoth is ready to go at this point, basically, but Scream going for the tanky Circuit initiator build means that he wants to tank up before he's willing to fight. You got double guardians. You need that, or, you know, 1 guardian, 1 warrior playing the support role. You need them to tank up and get ready. So eUnited wanted this to be a slower start.
Well, Mike, ooh, big fight here on the left-hand side. There's going to be a dash and a taunt. Nice immune by the ultimate. PolarBearMike going to turn the SpaceStation Gaming around. Long rotation coming out from our solo laners as Benji says what up.
Aquarius here as well. Pretty high on that rage meter, right where he wants to be right before a fight. That ultimate being down is a really big factor, and that's exactly why SpaceStation is heading towards this Gold Fury. Taunt onto Benji. Perfect CC chain there by Baskin, but only brings him down to about half HP.
Yeah, still very tanky. It's the solo lane. Benji, and nice ultimate just to kind of zone. Benji now coming on up. Alone, though, this could be trouble for him, despite grabbing a couple in his ultimate. Jumping away and avoiding the reach coming out from PolarBearMike. And now Aquarius trying to zone. And check out this one. Bang! There's the kill on a Benji. Nice explosion from Aqua.
Ooh, Jeff gets hit by that golden apple. Doesn't want to spread it and stays spread well enough. PBM should have that ultimate up sooner rather than later. That's why eUnited not quite ready to give up this Gold Fury right away. Looks like they still want to hang around a little bit longer. Baskin doing the zoning, though, because he's healthy enough to play aggressive. Gold Fury down to below half.
He's got to be here to sort of confirm it. SpaceStation Gaming baiting their enemy right into their clutches. Low health on the Circuit tank character, by the way. So she'll be jumping out there. Three players still lined up for eUnited. About 40% on that Gold Fury. Down to about 1,000. SpaceStation need to clean it up. There it is. Nice shot. PandaCat tried. PandaCat failed. PandaCat did not fail that time. Misses the Gold Fury. Gets the jungler. And another kill for eUnited.
Looks like Andy got surprised by that burst from Venenu because he still had that ultimate available, was just going to wait until he thought he was in danger, pop the ult, fly out of range, never popped the ult. Forgot that part. He missed that step on the checklist. Venenu finishing off the soul gem. He had the 4 stacks on it, so we got an additional 40% scaling on that ability, and that was where that extra burst came from. Regardless, you ask SpaceStation in that situation, yo, you lose Andy for a Gold Fury here, everyone apologizes to Andy and says, we'll take it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's anytime you want, you can trade 1 player for an objective. That's totally fine. Ultimate onto BaRRa. The jump over is going to be good. Not follow-up. So Scream doesn't get that kill, but Panda's able to pick up JeffHindla. And it's 4-5 so far as the players are concerned. And
wow,
Pyromancer will be started one more time.
Jeff spam taunting. So unlike him.
That actually is very unlike him.
It was Discordia ult. It makes you spam taunt. You just got so baited. Are you quitting now?
Yeah, it's all you, bud.
You're rage quitting our cast? Are you serious right now?
Fine.
Thank you.
23 minutes in. 7 kills for eUnited. SpaceStation Gaming on the defensive here, watching their Tier 1 tower on the right-hand side fall down. They've already lost their Tier 1 tower in mid lane, so map control significantly in the hands of eUnited, despite the fact that the game has kind of largely gone in the way of SpaceStation Gaming, I feel. They have less kills, but are kind of crushing the objectives. Every time they get a kill, it seems to have a good reward at the end of the rainbow, but eUnited are just finding these objectives.
Finding the picks that are
towers.
very important. It's the pick onto andinster by the Gold Fury, which means that they feel comfortable enough to play aggressive on the right-hand side. That catches BaRRaCCuDDa, where that forces JeffHindla to come in to try and save BaRRa. By the way, I feel like we didn't even have to commentate over that. I feel like I've seen that a million times. BaRRa gets in trouble, BaRRa gets low, Jeff goes in instead, BaRRa lives, Jeff dies. The story of their duo lane.
We're in season 5. We've been watching that since 2014, right? Yeah. Like, that's why this is one of the tried and true duo lanes, and it's always fun to see new teams come out and new players and see all that, but what's really fun is watching players like Jeff and BaRRaCCuDDa. I mean, they finish each other's gameplay sentence, right? You know what I mean by that?
They totally do. Yeah, you don't even have to think about what's coming next. They just have that feeling, and that's something that you can only get with a lot of time, a lot of hours put together in a million different situations. It becomes very rare for a duo like Jeff and BaRRa to come across an exact situation that they haven't encountered before.
Mid lane, there's an encounter. Nice stop coming out from the Discordia. Gonna miss the Unruly, however. Hiding in the cooldown cloud. PolarBearMike up top. Gonna find a little bit of control, but not enough to really turn this into a real fight that eUnited are interested in.
A little bit of a couple ultimates thrown there by eUnited, but none by SpaceStation. Did force Jeff back to base, but he's got that ultimate to come back in case of emergency.
I love the non-combat meditation there.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot of times players will just specifically save those for the team fights almost all the time. But right now, after everything's expended, eUnited kind of knows that one, SSG probably isn't going to dive us right away, and just milk the use of those actives while they're available.
Well, it's also super important because PBM does it where no one can see him. So SpaceStation has no idea that it's down. Now he gets taunted in by JeffHindla, but has enough CCR with those tank boots that he picked up that taunt doesn't even last very long. Lets him push forward now. Screammmmm and PBM have enough CDR in their builds that their ultimates are almost ready again.
Yeah, that's a big key is the hiding of the information is really important stuff. SpaceStation Gaming still trying to fight over it. Two players over the wall. Ultimate out of the Cerberus. Isolates one. Here comes Aquarius over the wall looking to disrupt what eUnited has started, but Scream won't let him just yet. Trouble for JeffHindla. And he's going to fall down. Gets away from his teammates. Most importantly, double kill for the Circuit, and eUnited hitting the gas pedal. One more stun on top of andinster. 50% for the Batman. That's going to be a retreat. eUnited heading into the jungle. Couple of players heading back to base. Unfortunately for them, a little bit too low to go for fire right away.
I think they can back and just head straight to it, though. I mean, still 30 seconds left on Baskin's respawn timer.
Jeff with that global ult is scary.
Down right now. Used it to try and save Baskin in that situation. Ended up just getting the poison spread to him, which ends up with him getting killed. There, Baskin just a little bit too gung-ho with the dash. That's there's a reason that Thoth feels so unbeatable at times, and other times feels really bad. And it's not even the skill shot element. It's that when a team is just letting Thoth wave the finger at him and then toss the stun with no sort of response, that means that he gets to do whatever he wants in these team fights and feels unbeatable. As soon as you see a Thoth dash, there should be a giant green light in your brain if you are an assassin or a warrior that says he has to die now in the next 8 seconds before that dash is back up, or we're going to be in a lot of trouble. In that situation, Benji comes around the corner, Baskin's got the finger up, he goes, cool, ults him right away. That's exactly how you have to do that. Perfect recognition by eUnited solo laner, and that sets it all up. Baskin still didn't have purification beads from the fight beforehand. He used the Aegis a little bit too early, and ends up falling for SpaceStation.
Gold Fury started by BaRRaCCuDDa. Ultimately chased out by eUnited, so they were able to pick up the second objective as well. And the lead change, as they yell in hockey, will be switched around. 1,600 gold in the hearts of eUnited.
This is one of those situations where in previous seasons, this was almost always felt like the straw that broke the camel's back. You're close. You lose one team fight, enemy team gets Gold Fury, Fire Giant, Towers, and all of a sudden you're down by 1 million and you can't fight into it anymore. Not really the case here in Season 5 anymore. Phoenix defenses are so much more favored for the defenders than before. So now SpaceStation, where in previous seasons probably just are willing to give everything up and barely even take a fight on the Phoenix, now really have a chance. Giving up these Tier 2 towers does make some sense. No purification beads still on andinster, no Aegis for Baskin, no beats for BaRRa as well. You're gonna give up a fight and then possibly lose the game off of it by this stage by taking a fight with those key important defensive relics down. Now, if you want to, you can defend that Tier 2 tower, though SpaceStation has a habit of once they give up Fire Giant, well, I shouldn't say SpaceStation, this roster specifically with BaRRa, Jeff, and Baskin have had this habit of giving up a lot of objectives after losing Fire Giant fights. We saw it last year at Worlds against Energy, where Energy was able to clear the map after just one FG.
We're not interested in fighting into that.
They really don't seem to like that and seem to like to take their chances down a little bit more gold. In some situations, I feel like that's not the right call. In this particular one, I think it makes a lot of sense to give up those left and mid tier 2 towers. The right side tier 2 tower, if you've already given up 2, is it really worth it to defend the 3rd? Especially when you press tab, look at the list. Almost everybody on eUnited's full build anyway, so that 1,500 gold doesn't really matter a lot to them anymore.
Right.
Might just be better to bide your time, wait until the next neutral fight where, yes, you won't have your tower there to defend you, but the enemy team also won't have Fire Giant.
30 minutes in here, and eUnited have solidified their lead. 6,300 gold, 5 kills above their opposition. Nicely done by the defending world champions.
They looked great in this game, and a big reason for that in my mind is they've done such a good job of staying away from grouping in front of JeffHindla. We have seen so few, if any, honestly, double taunts, and that is always what breaks you against an Athena composition, is when you get double taunted and have multiple members either use relics or get poked down at the same time if you're your two frontliners. Jeff has not been able to find any, and that's really not his fault. It's been eUnited spacing so well. Look at how far away they are from each other right now, because they cannot afford to get double taunted. That's how you play against it.
Scream right on the backside, and the bat's in the air. The bat's under the ground as Scream buries him with the true damage from the ultimate. Piling basics into Aquarius is PandaCat. Nice control from his team to set up that damage for the Hunter. Trying to body block the dash, but can't find it. So JeffHindla able to get on out, but the objective is now open and ready. Phoenix being aggressed on. SpaceStation Gaming still willing to fight underneath it. Here comes Aquarius with JeffHindla in tow and chases them off of the objective. Nice stuff coming up from SpaceStation Gaming. Got the necessary stop.
Very, very important there, but Fire Giant's going to be up within about a minute now. But
Do they fight here?
It just fell off. At FG, absolutely. In that fight, andinster just gets picked off, basically, because of that Soul Reaver and Soul Gem combination. Lots of soul for Venenu's build, and it's very, very powerful when that's the case, because you have so much extra burst damage that you can't really account for. andinster has gone the exact opposite route of what Scream has gone for in the jungle. Scream, tanky, initiator, kind of just wants to mess you up with CC. andinster doesn't have a lot of CC, pure damage. It got hit for 70% of his health from that 2-1 combo from Venenu. Cost him his beads. Scream, great reaction time. That's got to be communication too, because I don't believe there was a ward there from eUnited. That's just Ven saying, I got someone, and they took a lot. And then immediately Scream blinks on top of him, finishes it off with the last breath. Great communication, great trust from eUnited. Grab that kill.
SpaceStation Gaming, interesting itemization thing I want to point out from JeffHindla. He picks up the horrific emblem here because it's one of the few things that can actually quell Scream. By not building into power, Scream's kind of just hoping on the true damage and stuff like that, and able to just, like I said, quell some of the damage with that percent reduction is a really nice choice by Jeff.
A little surprised it's not a shell, because shell also works very well into the last breath ultimate. May have ended up saving Jeff a couple times, when specifically I'm thinking in that mid lane, if he would have been able to hold on to it there. But either way, I think Horrific can do the same job and also stand to be versatile as Shell can. I mean, both of those relics are very viable for a reason. This is more worried about PandaCat as well, and PolarBearMike, slowing down their attack speed, stopping PBM's damage a little bit on that Amaterasu. Two very important reasons why that Horrific emblem ends up being very powerful.
Yeah, when you upgrade it, 20% damage reduction. Period.
Yep.
Like, your outgoing damage is lowered by 20%.
Oh, you're also slowed, and your attack speed is slowed, and it's a good relic.
It's a team fight changing relic.
It really is.
I mean, it's a character's ultimate. If like, it could be an ultimate. It's really,
good ult.
really strong. Brief pause here. We'll get back to the action in just a moment here. But eUnited really looking strong here. Definitely in the driver's seat of this best of 3.
I mean, can you tell how big of a difference Scream makes to this team whenever he's in there and is able to initiate, allow PolarBearMike to actually play his role and let him be comfortable there as well.
It's a jungler league. I'm going to say it 20,000 times this season. Get used to it. It's a jungler-driven league right now. And, like, PolarBearMike, sure, like, no slight at him, but he's not Scream.
Sure, but here's the thing. it's a jungler-driven league. Completely agree with you. But it doesn't always mean that the jungler is going to be the star.
Oh, no,
Who's
not
been
at
the
all.
one this game? Venenu. But why is that? Because he knows where Scream's going to be. Scream knows where he's going to be. They've got their target selection correct. They've been working well together all game. They've worked as a pair beautifully, and that's been so important. Think of the big impact like kills that we've seen so far in this game. That rotation to the left-hand side that saves PandaCat, and they pick off andinster, Scream, and Venenu together at the same time. That right side Phoenix, even though it doesn't end up being a successful siege, that Phoenix still stands. Venenu and Scream working together.
Here comes what could be the final push for eUnited. Jumping on back to safety is going to be PandaCat. Aquaman comes up real deep. PolarBearMike gets slowed down. Now turning around, Aquarius is going to have the help of JeffHindla. There's a nice ultimate. Players avoiding the damage. Benji with a stun. And just honestly a mess.
Not a lot of kills quite yet. In fact, 0, but good poke. But again, it's onto the tankier targets. PandaCat, Venenu, still awfully healthy. The space station, again, able to defend. That Odysseus bow doing a lot of work for BaRRaCCuDDa right now. All you have to do is hit a minion wave in front of you, and that's just going to tick, tick, tick down the enemy team, make sure it's a little bit harder for them to siege into you. And in that fight, Jeff is able to kind of disrupt the initiation a little bit better that time. Aquarius now full build. He was full build before, and he's ended up standing in the middle of 4 or 5 members, able to do it again in this situation. Really, really great job from him keeping PandaCat off of that Phoenix. A lot of times in these siege situations, the Hunter doesn't really want to be hitting you. Well, PandaCat probably wants to be hitting you, but his job is to be hitting the Phoenix, so your solo laner's job has to be to take that Hunter out of the equation, and Aquarius has done that on consecutive sieges now.
Aquarius now adjusting his build, actually. That Mantle of Discord used to be a soul eater, actually. He built that.
Really?
Yeah, he built that in the mid game. I was gonna talk about it because it's such a rare item that we see. Mantle of Discord, well, we see that one all the time. But and I think this is really interesting because in the mid game, it's a much different world than when everybody's 6 slotted. So he has the Soul Eater here, and he's able to sort of use the lifesteal in that mid game. And then when it's late game, lifesteal's not going to be enough. And
Yeah,
he's going to want the Mantle.
Certainly better in the late game to have Mantle. Interesting idea though on K'Kullen, because when that rage is pulsing out of you, that's ability damage in that transformation form. So he's lifestealing consistently off of the Soul Eater. Really cool interaction that honestly I hadn't even considered. I kind of want to go try that.
And the idea, K'Kullen's whole idea is just be in the middle, knock people up, and don't die. So really, really, really interesting stuff.
Did you see that poke right there? That was from the Unruly Magic Balls, that extra 40% from Soul Gem, a procs on all of those. It forced BaRRa and Baskin to take a bunch of damage they didn't even know.
A lot of interesting itemization stuff coming out from eUnited, but this one is just about pushing buttons. Pushing into the mid lane, Phoenix is going to be the blue team, and right now, Aquarius just barely alive, and Benji getting on out of there. Scream now finally jumping, full HP, ready to go. Looking towards BaRRaCCuDDa, but he's saved again by JeffHindla. Can't say the same with the follow-up from Venenu. It's number 11.
Baskin dashes forward but can't find it. Now Scream gonna dive underneath that Phoenix. He gets pretty low, but not low enough. Venenu sitting at basically 1 HP, but PandaCat's still healthy enough. Andy get a blink in, misses the 2 and the 1. Andy just has not been able to be effective in these late game team fights. If you're building full damage Camazotz, you have to be able to blink in and explode somebody. I mean, it's literally blink 2 auto ult should be able to kill a squishy or at least force them out of the fight in the later stages. Force a relic, something like that.
Right.
I mean, no Aegis here for PandaCat, no Aegis for Venenu. This has got to be their fight.
There's a big taunt coming out from JeffHindla, and Scream's going to go right to the back line, ultimating Baskin so that he's forced out of the fight. But Baskin is a long-range mage. You can still deal the damage with Hieroglyphic Assault, but Benji doesn't care. Takes down Aquaman. The Phoenix finally falls. eUnited has been here for so long.
Yeah, beating their heads against the wall and finally able to break through. Again, great start to that engagement. One of the reasons that Soul Gem is so good is that whenever you throw that ability, whenever it hits anybody, that hit everybody that gets hit by it, gets that extra 40% scaling. Then got a Soul Reaver proc on BaRRaCCuDDa and another hit on the Soul Gem from it onto BaRRa and onto Baskin. So already that gets off to a good start for eUnited. Aquarius does a great job of pushing into the middle of it. He has to receive the JeffHindla ultimate to make sure he stays alive, but still ends up being safe in the end. The real problem here on SpaceStation's defense has been Andy has been completely ineffective.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the itemization. damage, 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 damage. That's 6 damage options for andinster. Look at the options for Scream here. Tank, 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 tank. He's got more player damage than andinster with the tank build. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of that is the true damage, a lot of that is the percent damage. It's also just been, andinster has not been particularly accurate on the Camazotz.
And that's, the Camazotz a lot of times strikes me like a character like Baskin, where you're doing damage and that's it. And if you're not doing damage, you're just unfortunately kind of useless.
Yeah.
And Andy in this late game, I mean, it's very hard to get up close and personal. And we talk a lot about Camazotz being a long-range assassin, but that's in comparison to the rest of the assassin pool. Compared to Venenu and PandaCat and even Benji, that range is dog duty. You're not able to really get in there, and Andy, as soon as he finds himself in a position to deal damage, he's taking it instead.
This is, without a doubt, the hardest point of an assassin's entire game, is the late game siege on both sides, for both Scream and for andinster, because everyone's condensed, everyone's in a little group, you don't have a way to really flank and get behind them as Aquarius hits a 2-man knock up there, but look at that strife damage from Venenu. Love the option to throw the apple, then the magic. Forces Aquarius back, but those are the characters that want to get hit by Venenu. That consumes his Soul Reaver proc. That won't be up for about 25 seconds, meaning that those backline damage dealers like BaRRaCCuDDa and Baskin are a little bit safer.
Warbs underneath the tower, just every little thing to stop incoming damage from eUnited. One of the bigger changes here in Season 5 and why we're seeing SpaceStation do a great job of defense is how these corridors are created. Scream jumping to the backline will get taunted off of Baskin.
And he's got to get into the backline. When Scream's on Baskin, you can't really peel for him. You got to go help. And by way of damage, BaRRaCCuDDa gets low, has to use the Aegis. Now the mounted archery, and that brings him right into the damage from Ven, but Baskin answers back with a better final judgment.
And look, now the window is open for Andy. Now he can finally get to the back line, looking for the mid lane mage, but friends show up. Andy does take down Venenu, but he's punished for it. 3 dead for eUnited, only 2 down in SpaceStation gaming colors. And Baskin waving the finger. He wants to finish him off, but Scream, he'll take the fight.
Yeah, still healthy enough, especially considering all the HP and tankiness he has in that item build. I feel like SpaceStation is suffering from what I'm now deeming the BaRRaCCuDDa effect. There are times where BaRRaCCuDDa is going to get jumped on by the enemy assassin, and that's fine.
Sure.
You just got to let it happen, because that's twice now. Underneath this mid Phoenix, there was towards the end of that fight where eUnited ends up getting that Phoenix, Scream jumps on top of BaRRaCCuDDa, and even though there's 3 people in front of Jeff, Jeff's turning to taunt this tank Circuit, who's not going to be able to kill BaRRaCCuDDa anyways, where that lets the rest of the damage come in and end up killing BaRRaCCuDDa.
I'm still afraid of tank Circuit.
But in that situation, Andy is watching what Scream is doing to BaRRaCCuDDa on the back line. You just got to let BaRRaCCuDDa stay on his island. Say, sorry, dude, that's something you got to deal with, and you play Hunter at this level.
Fair.
Your assassins are going to be on top of you. Let Aquarius go back. Let JeffHindla go back. andinster has to be doing the same thing. As soon as Scream says, yo, I've got a blink, what do you think Ven's doing? Trying to step up to follow up. That's your window. And that is the type of stuff that you have to kind of get back into the flow of. I'm not saying andinster's rusty in the jungle or anything like that, but whenever you play a mid-mage, and I mean, take it from me, when I hear my mid-mage or see my mid-mage getting dove, I identify with that, and I'm like, yo, I'm going to help this dude. But that's not Andy's job anymore.
Exactly.
Andy, after moving to the mid, is like, yo, it sucks to get dove. I need some help. But that's not Andy's job. He's got to ignore it, get into the back line. At least when you're playing a jungler like Camazotz. You're playing Thor, fine, whatever. You can peel. Kama's not going to do anything to peel away Circuit because he can't burst her before she does anything. It's a tank assassin.
Double taunt. No follow-up. Scream on the left-hand side, looking to finish things off. Starting the party off hot. Aqua gets hit with the strife. Aqua's getting blown up. He's going to die to that unruly, and there's the ultimate as well. The golden apple for Venenu as he teaches SpaceStation Gaming a lesson.
Perfect. andinster into the back line, blows up Venenu. That's what SpaceStation needed. They lose one right off the bat, and they're still able to turn it around because Andy gets in and plays aggressive. Benji gets stunned out. He'll fall to Baskin, and it all starts with Andy getting that initial return pick onto Venenu. Sometimes it's as simple as you just got to hit your stuff. That time, Andy blinks forward and hits his stuff.
I love the chase from SpaceStation Gaming. And this is really important that eUnited are spreading out. So if SpaceStation Gaming just deicide everybody, they win the game. The sit out timers are high enough that they're just going to win if they win that team fight. So eUnited spread out. They go, you can kill 2 of us, and choose which else you're going to go for, because they understand that this game is on the line right now.
Yeah, this is a risky push here. Venenu's going to be up in about 20 seconds, and SpaceStation decide they'd rather not risk it. Ven was going to have relics up, have his ultimate up. He was going to be very safe, and still, look at all the defensive relics down on the side of SpaceStation. Beads down for andinster, beads down for Baskin as well.
A little bit of vision coming out. Interesting choices from SpaceStation Gaming. They're warding up this mid lane pretty much. Any insight into why?
They're looking for any potential rotations. They pull the Fire Giant. Aquarius going to get tossed back, but it was actually during the iframe, so the Axe missed there for PandaCat, but it's all PBM trying to steal away the Fire Giant. SpaceStation
nice.
We're able to secure it, but it's going to be at the cost of Aquarius.
72 second sit down timer right there.
Yeah, I don't know if that's really worth it in the end. I mean, this now PandaCat and the rest of eUnited have a 4-on-5 push for over a minute.
Yeah.
It's the age-old question that I just invented now. Would you rather have a solo laner or the Fire Giant? Everyone has been asking that forever. I've heard it. Trust me on that one. Tom, you ask me that literally every day. Hey, Ryan, how you doing? By the way, would you rather have a solo laner or the Fire Giant? Gee, I don't know, Tom. Hopefully we find the answer today.
Let us know your feelings in Mixer chat right now. Would
That's
you rather have
poll.
a solo laner or the Fire Giant? Hopefully hi-rez Avi will hit us with a poll. Right now, eUnited trying to hit SpaceStation Gaming with a whole different type of poll. Jumping away is going to be Benji, out of their half HP already. And SpaceStation Gaming on their heels as PolarBearMike wheeling and dealing, looking for the backline stun. It's all the front line, though. The Batman takes to the sky. He's got the poison on him.
No way! Ven jukes him, though, and he gets lost! Ven finds the kill, too. What could have been a great turnaround. That's a Bloodforge shield just waiting for Andy on the ground. Ven has never looked thinner, standing in the cloud. Don't see me, don't see me, don't see me, don't see me. Ends up staying alive. My goodness.
The cooldown cloud showing up one more time. 45-minute slugfest from eUnited. SpaceStation Gaming, eUnited, gold, irrelevant. Experience, irrelevant. Get those graphs out of here.
We don't need to see that.
17-10. This is all about it. And ladies and gentlemen, 51% of you guys would rather have a Fire Giant than a solo laner.
Looks like SpaceStation was right in taking that trade, because they ended up winning the engagement anyways underneath the Phoenix. Now they're pushing forward, but again, I don't know how much I like this. Yeah, SpaceStation immediately backing up. PandaCat's up in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
So not a whole lot that you can do. andinster also up in about 10 seconds, but a little bit closer to the eUnited base right now than the red side.
Our co-commentator, Anatoly, is an avid chess player. This is a stalemate.
Feels like it. Who would have guessed that these two teams are pretty evenly matched and also good at Smite game Battleground of the Gods?
But so the question is, I mean, how do you break said stalemate?
In a lot of situations like this, it's just waiting for someone to make a mistake. I mean, these teams are executing now at a very high level. Before, eUnited got onto a big roll. Why? Because andinster wasn't able to fulfill his role and do his job very well. Now Andy has rectified that very quickly. That's what the best in their roles do, is identify that it's not going very well.
Can I?
Yeah.
Scream is still deathless in this battle. I mean, sure,
yeah, he's really good.
Yeah, I mean, he's also built. He's the biggest tank since Halo, right? But I mean, 0 deaths.
And
that's really outstanding.
You're playing a tanky character with a lot of mobility, and that's not to take away from Scream at all. The dude is absolutely a monster, and definitely has not historically gotten the credit that he really deserves in the jungle. And a lot of that is because he didn't really reach this level of play until the end of last year.
I was going to say that.
It took him a little bit to reach this potential and reach this level. But man, I really don't think you can make an argument for anyone in NA being a better jungler than Scream right now. And
Wolf, high praise.
I really don't think there's anyone that close.
Ultimate onto BaRRA. Kind of just seemed like Scream just wanted to throw it out there. Coming in is PolarBearMike looking for some communication. Benji Turning things around, looking for a stun. Andy is going to take to the sky. There's a nice ultimate, and Aquarius going to take care of Venenu. Surrounded is Benji, and they'll send him back to the pound.
Ven has been the primary focus now of SpaceStation for the last 3 fights, and SpaceStation has won the last 3 fights because of it. Just so important to pick off that mid lane mage. I mean, Thoth is the damage guy, right? No one does damage better than Thoth. Well, Ven is right now on Discordian, has been all game long. Perfect target recognition, and it's Aquarius into the front line. This is textbook. Aquarius into the front line, kind of create some space. Everyone's looking at him. Andy, blink forward, little shot from the Camazotz, straight up into the sky to finish off the kill. Perfect.
Left side, Phoenix already down. No problem for SSG. Looking to make their move into the mid lane. Little bit of disruption coming out from PBM, but no avail. This mid Phoenix is going to go down. Just a matter of when SpaceStation Gaming feel like it. Getting distracted by some players, and there it goes.
Baskin fires off the final judgment, but wasn't able to find the kill. Trying to find a low health target there in eUnited's own base. Good turnaround from SpaceStation, who have been on the back foot for a little bit now, but like I said, about 3 fights in a row that they've been able to turn the tide. So now, eUnited was winning. SpaceStation make the adjustment. Focus out Venenu. Also hit our skill shots.
Yeah.
SpaceStation's done it. Now it's eUnited's turn. PolarBearMike has been way in the back, making sure that he's trying to keep BaRRaCCuDDa out of these fights. I think it might be time for him to try and help out Venenu against this dive. The problem is that it's impossible to peel Camazotz ult.
Well,
that's what makes
yes.
it so strong. In fact, by trying to peel, you make it worse, because when you hit multiple members with the same shot of Camazotz ult, it does more damage. So it's actually better for PBM to be far away from Venenu, and that's why Camazotz is basically a top pick, is that there is very little you can do about that ultimate except for suck in your stomach and stand in the corner of your little cooldown cloud and hope to God that Andy doesn't find you.
PolarBearMike also on a great support, but not exactly adept at peel. I mean, Amaterasu brings a lot of other stuff. Her auras are highly sought after. The silence is nice and can be temporary peel. And then obviously there's the ultimate. But I mean, there's no pluck, there's no taunt, there's no freeze.
But it's the relics that I'm looking at. Go into the back line, sprint Venenu, and slap his butt and get him on the horse and tell him to get out of danger. You know what I mean?
Use guy on a horse.
Well, that's BaRRaCCuDDa, so BaRRa can actually just chase him down. I'm still waiting for the match of the day.
Me into that, man.
Where the match of the day is like Guan Yu and Hachiman on their horses permanently and just like racing around the map. That's really all I want in my life,
We
guys.
literally did that adventure.
Really? Oh my God, where did Andy just go? That CC chain, 6 seconds left on those beads timers, and he got punished for it.
Yeah, just immediately. Venenu throwing out the ultimate, not going to find a target. This is a reset. No team wins here.
Nope. No, you can't. I mean, even andinster dying at this situation, 50 minutes in, 60-second respawn timer. And it's not going to really matter because that fight was so close to eUnited's base. That's the other thing about this map, is that when you're winning fights, it takes so long to get to where you want to go. You can win a fight by, like, you know, you're purple buff, and you got to get to tier 1 tower mid, and you may as well start telling a story on the way there. It takes forever, so these respawn timers, even though they seem longer, end up being not as bad in a lot of situations because the enemy team has to go so far to find the objectives that you might be able to just mount a defense by the time they get there.
51-minute war of attrition here, and the end is nowhere in sight. And you know, a lot of times we wind up at these late game excursions because the teams are bad. This is because the teams are very good. You said it before. Ain't nobody making a mistake in this house. SpaceStation Gaming and eUnited have looked near perfect.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about perfect execution, it's catching someone with an upgraded beads with those down for only 3 more seconds, or something like that, and getting a kill off of it. But then good disengage from SpaceStation on the back end. Look, like I said, someone's either got to take the wrong step, or, you know, if you want to be a little bit more positive about it, you could say that someone on one team or the other has to make an insane play.
Yeah,
it's Baskin hitting a stun, then charging Final Judgment, shooting it the other way, killing a carry, then turning back to the person he stunned and 360ing and dunking him. Like, that's the kind of stuff that's got to happen. If there's not going to be a mistake, there's got to be some extraordinary level of play that the enemy team just kind of throws their hands up and goes, okay, it happens.
Yep. Brief pause here coming out from our two guys. Just stretching it out, man. At this point, we don't allow it. Pause is only allowed for technical reasons. I wouldn't be surprised if they were kind of just being like
the technical reason was one of these, you know, just take a drink of water,
make sure this real quick.
Yeah, stand up. You know how Bear always like stands during his streams while he's in queue? Bear has been sitting for too long and just needed to stand up for a little bit.
We'll get back to the action in just a moment here, guys. And, you know, don't forget, I mean, this is just the first game of what could be 3. Really exciting to watch these guys go back and forth and just sort of bang their heads against each other, because that's what we're seeing. It's like 2 giant rhinoceroses just trying to break each other down, and nobody's given.
No, I mean, these two played at Super Regionals for the title of #1 seed in North America. They were scrim partners coming into that event. That was pretty widely publicized. These two had been playing against each other behind the scenes for a lot of lead up. That was a very close back and forth set. These two were very close during the online phases in the fall split as well. So no surprise to me that we've got a very close game with great individual plays on each side.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure to watch here, and just a nice extension from what we saw yesterday on the show match. Again, Luxor invited two of the teams, and Hindu Man and some people over there to basically put on a display in their brand new esports arena. And unfortunately,
A+, by the way.
Yeah, everything looked excellent. So congratulations to everybody there. Looked like a lot of fun also.
Yeah,
as a side note. But Coach Cardiac was in instead of Scream, and so we just gotta. It was a taste. It was just a taste. I really wanted the real thing, and this is the real thing. These teams, I mean, you're talking about the defending world champs, and for my money, on paper, the #1 team in North America.
Could be. It seems like they're still kind of ramping up a little bit, getting in their comfort zones with each other. Andy not having the debut he probably wanted at 3-8, but still has really turned it around in the later stages, which is, you know, where it counts.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I mean, slash lines only matter so much. I care much more about the W's than the numbers. Here comes a big fight. PolarBearMike already down relatively low. A little bit of help from his friends. Whew. Got to come on back. Half HP on the Firebird.
There's the blink in from Andy, and immediately one skill up into the air. He's gonna use that to retreat though, because the burst wasn't exactly where he wanted it to be. Again, that out of combat meditation heal. Benji gonna head back to base, but he's got that teleport available. So if eUnited wants to chase, they've got the option of having their solo with them.
That's why we're seeing a number of these oddball wards coming out. Your solo laners able to teleport to them. You can kind of see wards peppered throughout the map. Late game even, that vision. Important, but definitely more about the teleports.
Looks like Aquarius gonna pick up a Spirit Robe to make sure that even if he gets Circuit ulted, that Spirit Robe passive applies. It's gonna reduce the damage coming out of Last Breath, so ends up being very impactful into the Circuit. Good pickup now, probably a little bit late from Aquarius. Something tells me he had the gold at some point during this game to sell what I believe was a Glad Shield to pick that up, but no harm, no foul, I guess.
I mean, at this point, if you are, losing and tying team fights, right? You got to find that extra edge. It's going to push you over that cliff to be the victor. So that's what everybody's doing here. SpaceStation Gaming starting up the Fire Giant, but eUnited ready to fight.
Baskin looking for it in the back line. His damage has been really impressive, now actually surpassing that of Venenu. 2 very similar builds out of the mid lane mages, except for the little bit of extra CDR for Baskin. Picked up a Chronos Pendant in that last item slot instead of the Spear of Desolation that Venenu went with. So losing a little bit of pen for CDR.
Still, a lot of damage. PolarBearMike gets chunked for a quarter of his life. He'll walk away. No problemo.
Scream into the backline, forces out the dash from Baskin, who's looking to find the return stun. Will indeed do that. There's a taunt as well. Scream has to use the purification. He's going to toss Baskin in, but Aquarius already finished off what Baskin started.
And Aquaman going to pick that one up. SpaceStation Gaming with bad luck 13 in their kill column have all the good luck in their sails. Benji in trouble here. Taunt is temporary, but the knockup is better. BaRRaCCuDDa puts down Benji. Number 14. Fire Giant?
Fire Giant. They've got time. SpaceStation's got 60 seconds until Scream is up. That means an easy FG here. It's only going to take you, what, 15 seconds max to bring this down? Way less than that in actual practice. This gives Baskin and Aquarius a little bit of extra regen. Now, Aquarius does have the teleport available if he wants to back and just come straight into the fight. That's exactly what he's going to do. This is going to let SpaceStation push up all the waves simultaneously. If I'm SSG, I probably look at the right side Phoenix first because I'm going to have the man advantage still, the 2-man advantage with Scream and Benji down, then transition over to mid. It's already weakened, so we won't have to put as much work into it. Looks like SSG, though, wants to go for the more guaranteed Phoenix, which is this already weak mid one.
I love that rotation from SpaceStation Gaming. The teleport is going to be good on the right-hand side. The rest of Aquarius' team is going to focus in the mid lane, forcing the Hunter back to base and forcing Venenu back to base the hard way. That's an 80-second sit-down timer for the mid lane mage. SSG going right on into the Titan, 25% HP, and that will be the game. 56 minutes of regulation play, and SpaceStation Gaming finally bring it home.
And it is with that combo that I was kind of fanboying over a little bit earlier in that left-hand side. No way to peel away the Camazotz, can't really run away from him, and just brings down the Athena at the same time, finishing off that kill onto Venenu. What a game between eUnited and SSG. Nearly an hour long, but plenty of action all throughout.
Yeah, I'm like, can just pick some bands right now. Like, I want to get into 2 and hopefully 3. Watching these teams go head-to-head is such a treat. Very excited to have the SPL back.
Without a doubt, man. And in the new format as well, best of 3s instead of just 2s, that means we've got a potential for that game 3.
I don't know how you pick an MVP here. I mean,
God bless. No, I don't know.
Not
good
me.
Luck.
Thank you. And good luck to everybody out there. But please let us know in chat who you think is going to be on top. Wonderful game. Break it down. Finch and Taco.
I would not want to have to pick that MVP either, Tom. Thank you, Inagra, for casting us through that grueling match. Finch and Taco here on the desk. But in the end, SpaceStation Gaming end up making it happen. Taco, what led to that 20-minute Phoenix defense?
A bit of a doozy there for United in the long term. They just could not close it out. It just felt like there wasn't really enough Phoenix damage during the times that they wanted to find that pure sieging opportunities. And then when they finally did manage to secure a Phoenix, it still just wasn't quite enough. 1 or 2 members would always end up taking an unfortunate spill. And despite multiple survival, like multiple times where Venenu was just managing to somehow overcome really dim circumstances to actually live, and it still just couldn't be quite enough to close it out. It was so unfortunate for eUnited there, where you could tell that they were right on the cusp of ending it so many times. And time again, though, Baskin just had that Thoth defense, and I really can't credit Baskin enough for finding those picks when they really needed them. The final judgments were all on point. That poke potential from that extended range, it was just something that, despite Venenu dealing a little bit more damage throughout multiple points of the game, he just could not quite keep up with Baskin in that sense that Baskin just had the range advantage.
Yeah, it looks like chat agrees with you, Taco. Baskin gonna be the MVP for that game, and I think that's well earned. You spoke about it. He was really the one that made those defenses happen. I think it was around the 30-minute mark when eUnited starts sieging that middle Phoenix, and the game ends at 56 minutes. I mean, it's 26 where they're grueling, battling it out in that back line. They cannot get to him. You're right, Venenu was doing damage, but he was just doing so much of his own, was Baskin, and eventually SpaceStation take it.
That's just all it was. It was a little bit of a mind game, too. After a certain point, when a team spends 20 solid minutes trying to siege and is still coming up unsuccessful, you start getting in your own head, like, can we actually close this one out? And I think that the doubt started to surface for eUnited really around that Fire Giant that SpaceStation managed to secure, because we saw a little bit of contest from eUnited. They were able to find that kill onto Aquarius, but nothing after the fact, and that was when SpaceStation just took full advantage of their opportunity with that Fire Giant to push the siege for themselves. And having that Thoth again, Baskin really felt like he was the key player here for making all the difference.
Well, then I got to ask then, I mean, PolarBearMike played the Amaterasu support, and you could kind of hear our casters talking a little bit about it throughout that game. At the beginning, that's fine. You know, Amaterasu goes in the back of that dazzling offensive, is able to force out relics, that sort of thing, but are they missing, you know, maybe like a Sylvanas, maybe like a Guardian that's really going to burn those relics?
They did have a Guardian in Benji.
That's right, they had
I
Cerberus.
like that they were trying to compensate for lacking that pure Guardian peel from PBM by throwing it into Benji and solo, but I would have to agree that eUnited seemed to have a composition where they didn't want this game to go further than the 35-minute mark, and the moment that it did, SpaceStation just continued to delay until their draft was finally at that pure late game stage. Because in a pure late game form, looking at SpaceStation's draft, that is entirely favored for these 50-minute plus matches, and it just really came to light, I think, when eUnited kept trying to go for those multiple tower sieges, and all PBM really had on the M at RS, who after a certain point is that ultimate, and even then it's just not enough.
Well, we're